No. Nope. Come on, it's here somewhere. Nice. Hey, here we go. Hello, everyone out there on the internet. I'm Jack of all trades, and we are here to talk about Doctor Who Season 2, Series 15, Episode 1, The Robot Revolution. So, I haven't covered Doctor Who much on the channel, but I want to. It's one of my lifelong sort of special interests. I have several TARDISes scattered around this room, and Sonics, and all sorts. I've loved this since I was a kid, since it came back in 2005. So, I don't think I'm the most qualified person in the world. I can just share my thoughts, and this is all going to be off the cuff. The Robot Revolution. Episode 1 of the season, I think, is a much better season opener than Space Babies. I also think it's a much better companion introduction than the Church on Ruby Road was. So, we're up for 2 there. I think Belinda Chandra, played by Verida Seifu. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I will try to get better. Was really good in this. I liked her a lot. I've only known her specifically before from Andor, which I haven't double-checked the timing of, but I think, is Doctor Who going to be on at the same time as Andor? Is she going to be in both, or is there going to be a week in between or something? It's going to be close. She's going to have a good year in 2025. I liked our initial introduction to her. She's rushing around at work as a nurse in the NHS, overworked. Yep, that all tracks. I like that she comes home and struggles to find food in the fridge and is talking with housemates. She's in a house share. Same here. There's a bit of a housing crisis, cost of living situation going on in the UK at the moment, so that rang very true. That was very relatable. And to jump toward sort of the end a bit, I really like how she plays off the Doctor, but also how she kind of bounces off the Doctor. How they don't click perfectly. Like, they get along, but she's got quite a few hang-ups with how the Doctor seems to do things. And I think that's going to be really interesting going forward. I hope that sticks around for at least the next few episodes. Because from the trailer, it looks like they become quite buddy-buddy in Lux in episode 2. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go. Because I like this bit of friction between them. I'll get more into as we get further in the episode. Mrs. Flood is back as a neighbour to one of the companions again. And I think this is the closest the Doctor has come to actually seeing her. So that was interesting. But of course, I saw nothing. No, not at all. I like the design of the robots. It feels very sort of classic retro sort of sci-fi of big, bulky, round shapes. So did the rocket. So did the whole Miss Belinda Chandra world architecture. Until we got sort of the interiors are a bit different and almost gloomier from what we saw. I'm sure it's big wide planet, big wide solar system. The idea of having a star named after you and then the people of that world coming looking for you is very, very funny, very, very Doctor Who, that feels. I like that concept a lot, and how it's kind of... There's a bit of bootstrappery going on paradox-wise this episode with the time schwupp, which is a great word for it. I love schwupp to describe the schwupp thing that sort of happened there. The idea that Alan being brought here is Belinda's fault, and what happens to him becoming the Al generator cyborg robot thing. She feels bad about it for a bit, about sort of causing Alan to be brought here. But then the Doctor sort of asks, "Oh, why did you end things?" And then we see that he wasn't a particularly great person, and we get more of that when he comes to the planet. It's like, oh, it's like a video game. I can just do whatever I want and make up the rules, and ordering the robots to kill people. It's like, okay, kind of a douche, kind of irredeemable. It's alright. I don't mind the Doctor sort of laughing it up when he gets polished away at the end. because we have the context of he really wasn't a good guy. The Planet of the Incels line might have been a bit on the nose, but there's a lot of lessons that growing up I took away from Doctor Who, and I think the sort of reminder for people, for kids, is important. I just again think using the word incel was a bit on the nose. Like we the audience got it. You didn't need to do that, but it was fine. No problem with that. But in terms of the paradox and the robots coming to get Belinda, from how we see it, it's like the robots come to get Belinda and take her to the planet. The time swap happens when she's telling them, "Oh no, you should go for Alan. He's the guy who like bought this and did this." So the robots then go to get Alan, but get there before she does by 10 years. And then it's kind of through Alan's will and still being hung up on Belinda and wanting to marry Belinda and all that, that they go back to get Belinda and bring her then to Alan. It's a mess of paradoxes and causation, but that's the bootstrap. It's all tied up. It works. It's just unconventional. I need to like draw it out in a Mobius strip or something to track it. And it really worked for me. The two certificates touching Blinovitch limitation effect, or principle or whatever it is Blinovitch limitation something. I love how that was portrayed. It was very abstract. It was very kind of Twin Peaksy. There's not many other moments in Doctor Who that I can think of that have been done like that. There was a shot or two maybe during the 50th anniversary of sort of John Hurt in the Time Wars. We're sort of skipping through that. But the lighting, the like young versions and old versions of Alan, and then the Doctor sort of touching and helping compensate and take a lot of the blowback from it. I liked that a lot. The only other time I can think of that happening in modern Who, at least, although it was portrayed very differently, was Matt Smith with the Sonics in the Pandorica Opens in the Big Bang when they touch and it just sparks. But it was depicted very differently because we saw it sort of from Belinda's perspective, whereas there it was just the Doctor and Rory. Psst. Also, the universe had kind of ended at that point, so time was all messed up. Also, it was the Doctor who was holding one of the Sonics, so he took the blowback from that anyway, just as Shooty does here. So it being a much smaller spark effect versus this whole thing that de-ages Alan into a sperm and an egg. Yeah, it works for me. It works for me. I haven't seen much classic Who. I've seen episodes here and there, but I can't recall that happening in particular anywhere else. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's internally consistent. It's fine. The other inhabitants of Miss Belinda Chandra world, the Miss Belinda Chandra-ites or something, we're a little one note that the sort of meathead rebel leader guy, he's very paint by numbers. Wasn't a huge fan of him. It's like lacking a bit of empathy. But at the end, he gets a line of like, "Oh, we'll rebuild. We'll do better." But in particular, Sasha 55. I like the idea that the Doctor has been on this planet again because of the time swap. He got here 6 months before Belinda, so just a little thing like his hair has grown out a bit is a great little touch from where we saw him earlier in the episode. But the idea that 6 months have passed, he's kind of got this pseudo companion. They've not been traveling in the TARDIS because it's been taken away by the robots, and the Doctor helping out this revolution. I like that, and it makes sense that the revolution has come so far to be in this throne room and be present when the Queen arrives. That all makes sense that they've managed to progress to that point since the Doctor arrived, despite it being a 10-year like war. That it's just in this last 6 months they've made a lot of progress because the Doctor's here. He's on our side. He's a very valuable resource. That makes sense to me. Her saying the line, "Oh, you've promised me the stars. Let's go," and then immediately dying like seconds later. Yeah, a bit on the nose once more, but again, Doctor Who is a family show. Like, I'm sure that shocked some kids, which I'm all for. Scaring kids is that quote attributed to Don Bluth, but if I recall, he said that he doesn't remember actually saying it. You can show kids anything as long as it has a happy ending. So, oh, the Doctor's got a friend and they're going to go on adventures and they die immediately. I'm sure that shocked a few kids, so I'm all for it. Even if sat here watching it as a 24-year-old, yeah, I saw it coming. Of course, those were major death flags. But I do like that they name a building after her and she is remembered. To continue on that line of thought, they teleport away, they transmat away, and the Doctor takes a moment and cries again. It has been, I'm pretty sure, every episode. Sometimes it's felt warranted, sometimes it hasn't. And there's a lot of talk about it last season. I think, now knowing, because Russell said, I think earlier this week, that it's not something he puts in the script. It is Ncuti's choice. Ncuti is making an acting choice to cry in these scenes. At least a lot of them. And I like that. I also like, as a wider thing for the Doctor, because again, every incarnation is different. Just thinking of the 50th anniversary and time of the Doctor. Matt Smith describing, and Dr. 10 once regenerated and kept the same face. I had vanity issues at the time. Like they can reflect back on aspects of their character in different incarnations. And I think having one that's more emotional, but not in a rage-fueled way. One that's more... I mean, I hesitate to say more empathetic. The Doctor's always been quite an empathetic character. But after the event specifically of the giggle, where we established that the Doctor 1 through 14 at least has just been pushing down and pushing down and pushing down and moving forward and not looking back, just moving forward, and not taking a lot of time to reflect on a lot of these tragic moments in their life and these big losses. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Doctor who confronted 14, for 15, Ncuti here to say that in the giggle, and then carry that on into their sort of series beyond, where I'm telling you, like, you gotta take time, like, process these things. Again, like therapy and self-care and self-love. And now that incarnation of the Doctor going on from that point, by generations messy, but the 15th Doctor now, going forward from that point, is actively taking the time to process emotions, to cry. I'm all for that. That makes total sense to me. There are exceptions, like in Joy to the World, when the Doctor meets this Silurian guy, has like one line of dialogue with him when he's not possessed, and then he dies and the Doctor cries. That can be a bit much. But for moments like this, with, again, Sasha 55, who the Doctor basically had as a companion for 6 months, dying, no, I'm all for that. That makes total sense to me, the crying there. I am curious if it is going to continue to be a staple throughout the rest of the season, if every single episode he is going to cry. But if it's at moments that make sense, I'm all for it. I don't have an issue with that. I have very little complaints with this episode. I think there were moments that felt a bit rushed. It did take me a rewatch to sort of fully wrap my head around all the time travel, swooping stuff. But I really liked the Doctor and the nurse down in the sort of rebel base helping out the injured. The X-ray blanket scene was great. I really liked that. I like that she asks, again, it's like, okay, the shoulders basically the same as human shoulders? It's, okay, cool. Fixed. It's like, oh, okay, this IV, do you guys use, is it liquids, is it fluids, what are we using for this, what are we using for this? And just asks these questions before going in to help. Which then kind of pays off in their different approaches, almost. In the end, after they get in the TARDIS, and there's the scene where the Doctor, again, scans and talks about this, and Belinda sort of goes, you just scanned my DNA without asking. You just tested my DNA without my permission. I like them butting heads on their methods of going about these things. I like that a lot, and I hope that, again, that friction stays with us for a bit. I want them to get along. It seems like they're going to get along. But I I'd like them to continue to have points where they butt heads. Not necessarily shouting at each other, but moments where they butt heads. I like that. That's a very different Doctor-Companion dynamic than what we've had for a series. Probably for a one-off or two, Captain Adelaide Brooke, but by and large, I don't think we've had this, so I'm looking forward to it. I think the last sort of point I want to talk about then is Alan. Again, as a character, is nothing super interesting. I do like the idea of, again, an incel sort of taken to the extreme here. I'm a little disappointed when they said, "Oh, the AI generator." Okay, we're doing some like AI commentary here, and then no, it turns out it's a person. It's a person, a cyborg sort of meshed with some robot intelligence, some AI, no doubt. But it's not just we're not actively doing any real commentary on AI generation and generative writing and art or anything, because it wasn't AI, it was Al, which was I kind of liked that reveal. I laughed out loud at that. That was dumb, good, goofy fun, without feeling like super childish. I liked that. I liked that reveal. I just wish that we had either gone further on the Al side, and it being this sort of vindictive, controlling, manipulative ex of Belinda. If we like acknowledged that earlier in the episode, maybe I don't know what I would have done to make it different. I would have liked us to do a story where generative AI is the villain, just straight out, or this one where it's like Belinda's not childhood but younger, early relationship ex come back, kind of because of her. I'd like if we focused more on either one of them rather than kind of splitting the time in the episode over, splitting it between the two. But I think that's my only gripe with this episode. All the practical effects and puppetry were great. Polish was great. A lot of the lines and Belinda's reaction to a lot of these alien things. We don't really know. It wasn't acknowledged much in this episode how much people know of the wider sci-fi shenanigans that have happened on Earth in previous years. Do these characters remember the Saxon era? Well, I say era. He was only Prime Minister for like a week tops, right? But do we remember that? Do we remember the Dalek invasion and the planets in the sky and all that? Do we remember the Lupari ships around the globe? Time can be unwritten, the cracks and all that. There's always your hand-wavy excuse for anything. But we don't know if Belinda has much experience with sci-fi shenanigans like this, or if this is all entirely new to her. Either way, I like having an older companion who's sort of in their late 20s, early 30s, I believe, versus Ruby and Rose and Martha, a lot of the younger companions. Because like Donna and Ten are an amazing pairing. I like the Doctor with an older human companion. So Belinda here, being a bit more wizened, a bit more experienced, coming to space, seeing all this stuff, and having not their jaw on the floor necessarily, but kind of still gets shocked, still gets surprised by things, but takes a lot of it in stride and just accept. Okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, this is this. Ooh, okay, this other like organ. Okay, 2 hearts, right? X-ray blankets without radiation. Okay, I like how she takes and handles a lot of that, and again, having an older companion who doesn't really like it when the Doctor talks down to them at any point. Wibbly wobbly timey-wimey is a great line, but her almost immediate reaction of, am I 6? I like it. I like it a lot. I think I was 7 when that line was said, and I loved it, and I still love it. But it was a good line of her, like, don't patronize me without saying, don't patronize me. That would have been so on the nose. So I really like Belinda, and I think that's what this episode, above anything else, needed to do. They needed to get me to like this new companion because it's a companion introduction episode. That is like your main focus, or where it should be. Church on Ruby Road, I have a lot of gripes with for how many things it was kind of juggling there and not giving Ruby much. Versus here, Belinda was absolutely the focal character. And I very much look forward to seeing what she's going to do in the rest of the season. Lux, episode 2, in particular, as a guy with an animation degree somewhere up over there, I love it. I love the rubber hosey sort of style we're going for Mr. Ring-a-Ding. And if you want to hear my thoughts on that episode, stick around. So the plan is this video is going out on the 19th of April, and then on the Wednesday coming, you'll be getting my thoughts on episode 2. And then we'll wait a week, and then on Saturday episode 3 comes out, and then on the Wednesday after that, again, will be sort of my thoughts. It's going to be Who Wednesdays on the channel for the next few weeks as we cover this season, which again, I'm very excited for. In particular, again, episode 2, Mr. Ring-a-Ding. I'm hoping for some Roger Rabbit shenanigans. This can be a lot of fun. That's a flat screen TV.
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
Doctor.
Oh my god!
Thank you. Belinda Chandra. My Miss Belinda Chandra.
Holy fucking shit, what is happening? I have been Jack of all trades. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a few days for my thoughts on episode 2. Until then, bye.